Hi, welcome to Aaron's MS Corner, where we discuss all things MS. My name is Aaron Vasquez. I've had MS, multiple sclerosis, for 20 years, and I feel I've finally gotten it managed this year. So this is me giving back, and I'm here with my dad, my great dad, Armando Vasquez, who's been with me since the beginning, of course. And we talk and I say, Dad, we did it. We did it. And it took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And yeah, it feels great to have it managed. So as our first foray into this, I wanted to start with the early days of the MS. 20 years ago, it was a really strong, sudden onset. My right leg went weak, and first it got numb, like it fell asleep, and then it got weak really fast, and then it spread to my right leg, and then I couldn't walk on either of them, and then it spread to my arms. The whole time, doctors saying couldn't be anything. But then as it got bad, finally one doctor said, let's get an MRI, and they saw the lesions. And I'm very lucky to have to bounce back the way I do with steroids. Because for the first 5 years, no treatment had worked on me. None of the MS treatments were working. The only thing that kept it at bay was the steroids. How was it for you, Dad, in those early days?
It was difficult. It was the most difficult thing that your mom and I, I'm sure, have ever gone through, for a lot of reasons. Uh, from playing soccer at a very high level, Aaron, you were bedridden, and it seemed like it happened almost overnight. It didn't. It was gradual, but our panic was always there, and the panic always was accompanied by not really knowing what was going on. And the doctors were in the same boat as us. Nobody knew what was going on, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody wanted to believe that it was something serious because, as I said, Aaron had been, just finished a whole year of soccer and high level musical work and academic work.
Yeah,
So came as a surprise, me, huh?
it did. It did. And one, I was actually preparing for another podcast, and this kind of goes
Mm-hmm.
into where we can take this.
Mm-hmm.
Was I got sick at the end of senior or beginning of senior year, and then went right off into college. And one of the questions as that I was preparing for was how people treated you, or your friends, and just how things changed. And I really was lucky to have you, a great family, and you guys, and you, mom, dad, Mio, Sochi, and then a good set of friends. And but what really came surprised me was when I went off to school, and I went off to UC Berkeley, a super progressive uh school, and touted for having all the best accommodations and at the forefront of everything socially. But I was mistreated um uh by the professors, that these brilliant professors, but they knew nothing about MS, and they had no willingness to try to understand. And that was my first really look at how I was not seen. They couldn't see me, you know, they just saw the mask of the steroids. And looking back, I think about their position. They don't want to get scammed or played by their students, or that's what they always say. But they didn't have to treat me the way they treated me, which was less than, and that I didn't belong. And also, like, they just they didn't believe me. And just how it showed me how I even used the word like I really felt discriminated against. They just did not, they would not look at me. They didn't see me. And every so often I had to have my dad intervene because they couldn't see me, and my dad had to be that voice to make them see. And a lot of times I'm telling a lot of patients, that have invisible chronic illness, you have to make the doctor see. And how did you let them see, Dad, the professors, when you had to intervene?
Mijo, it's like that old saying, mechanics fix your car, but they have the most broken down jalopies ever. Professors can be brilliant, but when it comes to other aspects of life, just humanity, empathy, understanding, they are as superficial as you can possibly get. And then the whole academic facade of progressive work and thought is very limited when it comes to ADA, the disabled community, accommodations, that type of stuff. They don't want to deal with that, Aaron. And so you just have to, hunker down and raise your voice and research and come at them, from a legal perspective. And I don't blame necessarily the professors too much. I think it's administration that has to make it incumbent on all professors, anybody that works with that university, to be aware of the provisions of ADA and some of the disabled provisions of California as well. So I would say that what you're doing is going to enlighten a lot of university people, Mila, and they need to be enlightened.
Definitely. Yeah, everybody. Because sometimes I come across, what if I came, if I wasn't sick and I came across somebody, I couldn't detect anything.
Yeah.
At a certain, yeah, just because you can't see something doesn't mean it isn't there, that kind of stuff. And yeah, there can be, I don't want to bad talk anybody, but
Yeah.
just because someone is brilliant, they can be brilliant in their area, doesn't mean they get everything, even though they try to make it seem that way.
The other thing that I would say, Mijo, is that
Yes.
you're going to an elite university, and most professors, I dare say, would say this guy could not get into this university with the type of disability that he's presenting. So they've made a judgment, and they've made an incorrect judgment. And oftentimes they do that. So you need advocacy for, people that you love, because sometimes that person cannot speak for themselves, for herself, because they may be going through a relapse, an episode,
Right.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I was going through it, and I did feel really let down by so I guess each university, or the ones I went to, they have an ADA center, disabled student center. And both of them, they didn't care. They just they wrote their paper, slip that you can give to them, to the professor. But like, I was really struggling. I needed advocacy, and like I'm so thankful I had you, of course. But the school itself was just not doing its part, not
Mhm.
doing its part, and that's, yeah, something we need to make light of, really, in every school, in every setting. And then uh yeah, just that needs to be really brought out. And how I also talked about, just in position, just where I was at, just being as vulnerable as I was, and just seeing how people with a little bit of power, how they can be so chicken shit. That was the word. I got to use that word.
Mhm.
And low. And um anyways, I wanted to highlight that. um I'll move on to how we found the right doctors. um
Mijo, but before you move
yes.
on, I want to highlight and I want to tell the world
Yes.
that despite all these setbacks, and Aaron was suffering a lot of setbacks, a lot of attacks, going to one of the most rigorous, demanding universities in the entire world, and he was able to graduate. So, um, had it been that the administration at the school was a little bit more empathetic, a little more compassionate, it would have been a lot easier for Aaron. But despite that, he was able to grind and he was able to stay with it and he was able to complete that. So I can't say enough of Aaron's courage and his fortitude.
Thanks, Steph. Thank you. um how we found the right doctors. In the beginning, they were all over their heads. And we came across one doctor that dad had come across, and he was the one that really, um yeah, I don't know if don't want to name names on here. I don't want to name names on here. But he really, he's the one that ordered the MRI and led us in the right direction. Was really good. Was just really a good man, and a great bedside manner, and was there for us. And then when I went off to school, we picked someone at UC San Francisco, and it's worked out to be a great fit. Um, it's worked out to be a great fit, and um, what do you
Yeah, I
what do
mean,
you
well,
think, Dad?
that was also advocacy for sure, Aaron, because all of us were stumbling around in the dark while you were suffering. And all of the doctors, the general practitioners, wanted to be very conservative and didn't want to assume anything. So it cost us a number of years of just, trying to stay within the guardrails of the general doctor community, and that wasn't working. And so I guess the thing that I would say is keep researching, keep searching. If you're not happy with the medical opinions or the doctors that you have to keep pushing because eventually you will find, we believe, the right fit. As I think at this point, after 20 years, and remember, it took Aaron and the family 20 years to get to where we are. So this journey is not an easy one. And so anybody that thinks that it's easy doesn't have MS.
Yeah, right, right. Um, yeah. Uh, and yeah, my first neurologist wanted to, there was one new drug on the market, Tysabri, and they weren't quite sure about it. And so we decided to stay conservative, um, because that was the doctor that was advising us, despite
Mhm.
having this new one in San Francisco. but it got to a point where the old treatments, none of them were working. We tried everything. They even tried chemotherapy, which was the kind of the last ditch effort. And once that didn't work, we knew we had nothing to lose really at this point.
Right.
And yeah, the one in San Francisco was much more aggressive in treating the MS itself. One in terms of finding the right doctor too, and this has taken a long time, is and I know this now, feeling as well as I do now, is that you and we all deserve to just to feel our best, and just to get as close as normal as we can. And I was doing okay for many years, but I hit a pretty rough patch a couple years ago, and I just could not get out of it. And I came up to Portland. My dad and I, said, look, let's just give it a shot, and because my mom is up here, and I had to. I knew a little bit about how to find the right doctors, or to say you know, I want that one, and what to look for. And what I'm getting at is that if something doesn't feel right with a doctor, or if you feel like you are, you could be feeling better, or, the doctor is just not quite seeing everything, or not giving everything, you know, all its the considerations that you think it deserves, then to keep looking. I know that's so easy to say. But I found doctors here and just getting a fresh set of eyes, that I didn't get back home. And I have, again, just great doctors back home, I'm fortunate to say. So to keep looking too, right, Dad? Keep looking.
Absolutely.
Like for me, it was finally, I'll just say, it was finally finding the right pill, to just make me feel like normal. And then a pain patch that I just put on. I don't even have to think about it, and I just feel like Aaron again. And I can look back and be like, wow, why didn't we try that stuff? But it was an emergent thing. We were all doing the best we could, for sure. And so that's my message too, is to find what works for you, and to find the right doctor. And if something's not being addressed, then advocate through that office, or keep searching, because the right doctor is there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What was let's see.
Could I
Yes,
kind
Dad.
of give a synopsis there of what you just said, Mijo? I
Yes.
wrote your key thoughts. Anybody that's watching this video, please understand that MS is insidious. It's a mystery. So don't give up, number one. The other is find the right doctor for you, as Aaron has said. And remember, it's taken us 20 years to get to where we are. Aaron looks great right now. There were times when it was really, really difficult for Aaron even to get out of bed. There are solutions out there. And I think one of the things that needs to be said over and over again is that the American medical system, is gonna try your patience, your love, your compassion. It's a rough system, as we all know. So we don't want to make light of the fact that other people may not have the type of insurance that we have. That was a blessing, and I want to say that was part of. all Aaron's mom. So you gotta have good medical insurance. You have to have a voice, and you have to believe that somewhere down the road, after 20 years, there is some type of solution. As we've navigated with Aaron, and Aaron is doing quite well now. But it's a journey, and we're here on that journey with Aaron for life. Aaron.
Yes, thanks, Dad. Definitely. There is one of the things that it's so beautiful now, that hope that Dad just uh spoke of, and that belief that you will find something better. It's true. It can really happen. For so long I've been in the back of the cynicism in the back of my head about that, keeping it at bay. But after what we did here, and putting this team together that we did here, up in here in Portland, has been really miraculous, and there really is hope, and new medicines out there are really, they've halted my MS, my aggressive case, and I know it can do that for so many, and that there's every day we're finding out new things, and there's answers being discovered, and so the it's not an empty hope or like a hollow faith. There really is that out there, and to make it for yourself, however, in whatever form it comes. And I've been really thankful to have my dad as my coach to counsel me, um and to lighten me up when I needed it, to show me the road. Um, so thank you, Dad. I'm so
Thank you.
glad that we're doing this
Thank you.
finally.
Yeah, we are.
And yeah, this is just the beginning.
Yes.
It's just the beginning, Dad.
Yes, it is, mijo.
I was saying, yeah, time to go to work. So we're
Uh-huh.
doing work now, Dad.
Yeah,
Finally,
you're doing a great job, mijo.
we're
The
doing
community needs to hear
we're
your
doing
voice.
it.
Son. Yes,
Thanks,
you're
Dad.
the expert.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, yeah, that's that covers what I wanted to today. The finding, I had one little thing about finding joys, like how we found joys in the little things over the years, and gardening, and to um it's a big, it takes a lot of modifying. That's a big thing. Um, but to be happy that you are able to do it still. Like, I'm thankful when I'm able to walk around the house, and how, I know what it's like to not be able to do that, and what a big deal that is. And to be thankful for your health and your body working. Um, and so just to become, I recommend to become, it's funny to say I recommend, but just to become an appreciator of things, um, to appreciate, because the world is a really, there's so many magical things going on around us that we get caught up in, the world's blaring at us, how, all the how everything's gonna fall apart, right, Dad? But
Absolutely,
to
absolutely, mijo.
how do you remain in from letting all that stuff uh get in there, Dad? How do you?
I think, son, that two words that you've used that I think we need to talk about a little bit are miracles and magical. Those two situations manifest themselves in somebody's life when, one, they really believe it, and then number two, they do the hard work that's required, the immensely hard work that's required. Because Miracles don't happen by snapping your finger. They happen by working super, super hard. And that's what Aaron has done through the entire process. And then the second part is believing to the bottom of your soul that we are somehow going to find that solution. And it's a variable, needle in a haystack. But you have to believe that you're going to find that needle. And we stuck with it. And then Aaron and I, we love sports and we love books and we love art and we love gardening. So we had a lot to talk about and a lot to believe in. But it was ultimately the hard work that Aaron put into this that is now, bringing us these incredible, miraculous dividends. And uh, it's miraculous, but it requires the work.
It requires the work. All right.
Okay, Mima.
Thank you for our first session. Dad, that was awesome. Thank you.